Ooh, launch control. Select. Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol. Yes, it's official. The new Focus ST has launch control, and I've tested it. Tick.
Now, before we start this review, I am delighted to be working with BOTB.com, the dream car company, giving you the chance to win your dream car. Now, they have over 150 different cars to choose from with a guaranteed weekly winner. You need to be 16 or over to play, and entries are open worldwide. But because today is Black Friday, they have a Black Friday special on, 10% off any ticket bought until midnight this Sunday. And tickets start from as little as 85 pence. But the cool thing is, you could actually win a Focus ST. A ticket to win a Focus ST over the Black Friday weekend is just £1.40. Now, each weekly competition closes at midnight on Sunday. So what are you waiting for? Head over to BOTB.com to buy your ticket, but maybe watch this review first. I will put all the details you need in the description below. Now, do you want to know more about the Focus ST? This way. I still can't quite believe it's over a year ago since I drove the new Focus, the titanium edition. I lived with the car for a week. I did over 500 miles in it, and it impressed me hugely. And at that time, I remember going back into the dealership, and there was an ST line, which I thought just looked a much better spec than the titanium I drove. But I thought, I can't wait for the ST, and here it is. And I know I am slightly late to the party on this one, but the latest hot Focus is always a car that you look forward to driving. I think this one in this orange fury paintwork, the last time I drove a Ford like this in this colour, it was the new Mustang, and that certainly left an impression on me. But I think the styling of the ST is really on it. It looks great from the front end. I love the finish on these wheels. And the front end does look really purposeful, but by far and away the best view of this car is round the back. Now, I know I'm probably going to get some hate from all you Focus ST fanboys out there, but I was never really a big fan of the previous generation ST's central exhaust. I just never really thought it looked nice. But this is far better. It's much more, kind of harks to the RS, just two nice big exhausts either side, quite a nice kind of diffuser type section. And I just think the rear of the car, nice proportions. I like the lights. I love this kind of lip spoiler. Worth noting, by the way, that this is available in two body formats. You can have the 5-door hatch, or they do an estate version as well. But there's lots to talk about on the inside of this car. Some of the tech, some of the gadgets. It's quite nice in here. Come on. So here we go. The inside of the new Focus ST. It's pretty monochromatic in here. The only contrast is there's some white stitching around some of the leather work. But I must say, the star of the show, there's two things in here that struck me the second I got in the car. First one is this steering wheel has a lovely, firm, thick kind of rim, nice and leather bound. It really does feel great when you're driving, and you can get it into a superb position. I love the steering wheel nice and close to me. And then these Recaro seats, you've got the nice ST logo in them, but they are deep buckets. They've got this kind of Alcantara feel to them, so you just don't slip anywhere. Very high bolstered. I'd love to know what they're like on a really long journey, whether they give you a numb bum. But the driving position you get into when you get in this car is absolutely on the money straight away. We just fire up the infotainment system. So you've got the 8-inch touchscreen Sync 3 system. I'm not going to do so much about that in my review. What I would say is it's all touchscreen. It's really easy to use. For me, actually, you can kind of flick between stuff relatively easily. You've got Apple CarPlay and all the kind of integration with your smartphone that you would want. Couple of things in here in terms of additional spec. I also have a head-up display in here. I think that this might be the first Ford I've driven with a head-up display. So far, so good. It's actually a really good one. And then The other thing that I would definitely spec, but it is an expensive option, is I've got this panoramic glass roof, which gives the cabin a lovely light, airy feel, but that's best part of £1,000 option. So under the bonnet then, we've basically got a 2.3 litre Ford Duratec engine, and that's producing 273 horsepower. They do the ST in a diesel variant, 4-pot diesel with 188 horsepower. I think I'll be definitely going for the petrol. Prices start from around about £32,000, although if you tick a couple of boxes like the panoramic sunroof I've already mentioned, I think kind of mid-30s is probably what you're looking at by the time you put some nice toys on this. But it is a very well spec'd cabin. This car's also got the performance pack. Now you can only spec the performance pack with the manual petrol car. It's an £800 option, but on the steering wheel you now will get a track mode. It also has launch control and rev matching, which is a brilliant feature, and I like it very much. Very briefly, in terms of practicality and usability in this hatch, let's jump in the back and show you what the rear passenger room is like. Now, I can imagine plenty of people who are going to buy this car have a young family, but also want the sporty performance when the kids have been dropped off at school. So rear seat passenger room and comfort is important, and actually there is plenty in here. That's the seat set for me as a tall driver. I've got loads of legroom, loads of headroom, loads of light because of this panoramic glass roof. Really impressive. Now, I might not have kids, so I'm not interested in whether I can get a buggy in the boot, but it is important to see if you can get 2 dogs in the boot. Can you get 2 dogs in the boot? Yeah, of course you can. Hello, girls. Yep, they had to be in the film as always. Yes, plenty of room. Now, obviously, if you needed more space, you could go for the estate version, which I think actually looks really nice. For me personally, the hatch just has that lovely, aggressive, sporty look and sporty nature to it. But yeah, loads of room in the back, plenty of room for a couple of pups. On a serious note, there's loads of luggage space in here. You can drop the seats as well. I think it's a 60-40 split. So it just makes the car really practical. But this car is all about the driving. I can't wait to put it to the test. Let's go and hit some roads.
I'm going to start the driving review in normal mode. And the first thing to report is, even in normal mode, this engine does have quite a throaty rasp to it. It's really quite nice. And the gearbox is super slick, really nice short throw between the gears. Driving position, really comfy, and straight away you feel like you're in a car that has some performance and has some character to it. This review is not about normal driving mode though, is it? So, the different drive modes, you've got a little S button on the steering wheel, which is a little bit fiddly, and then you've got basically 4 different drive modes. You've got slippery mode, which is I guess for snowy, wet, horrible conditions. Won't be in that today. You've got normal, and then we'll go up into sport for now. And the first thing, as soon as you go up into sport, the sharpness of the car just starts to come to the fore, and you just feel like you're in a much different kind of animal. Sounds great. There's even a little crack on the upshift, which, I don't know, I've started to miss that in modern cars. You don't tend to get that at all, but somehow Ford engineers, even with horrible things like OPF filters, have made a little pop as the car takes the next gear. Now, in order to put the power down, this car does have a few trick things. It does have a differential, limited slip differential that's electronically controlled. So it's not a mechanical limited slip diff, but it's an electronic one. So I'll be interested to see if I can feel that when I want to start putting the power down. And also above the standard focus, I've also got adaptive dampers, so it will be interesting to see what that ride feels like and how compliant the suspension is. Right then, let's just push on a little bit. I just want to start to feel the suspension. I don't want to go too quick. I just want to be driving at, fast pace but safe driving speeds. The road conditions are pretty good actually. The roads are dry. There's still quite a lot of kind of autumn rubbish on the roads, but down into here we've got a really nice rev match in, front end in. I've got Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres on, and I've always been a big fan of them. And the traction round that corner was pretty good. I could get on the power nice and early. And the soundtrack is pretty good, to be honest. You get these fruity little pops on the upshift. This particular bit of road is quite bumpy and gnarly, but the suspension seems to be dealing with it. It is reasonably firm, but not as firm and as crashy as something like a Civic Type R. Dare I say, not even as firm as that Megane RS300 Trophy I had recently. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. It just makes a really chirpy noise, this car. So, 273 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds of torque, and launch control means that this car should do 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. I reckon we should give that a go, don't you? Okay, time to try out launch control. Come on, baby. 60. That was a huge amount of fun. So yeah, now, a pretty impressive number, but the really impressive numbers about this car, and this is the one that I'm going to struggle to test on my short time with the car, is the acceleration's okay. 6 seconds to 60 is, for this kind of category of car, is pretty good, to be honest. It's the mid-range though. So Ford reckon this mid-range wise, so we're talking maybe 30 to 70 miles an hour, is quicker than the outgoing Focus RS, which I just find fascinating. So where the motor that's in this car is the really kind of punchy, powerful, usable part, is in that mid-range acceleration, which, let's face it, off-the-line acceleration isn't that important in everyday driving. Mid-range is everything, because that's where you do your overtaking. That's where you're in the danger lane as you overtake stuff. You want to be out there and past as quickly as possible. This is obviously a sports hot hatch, and there is a race mode, so I think it would be rude of me not to put it in race mode. Let's go and find some decent roads and try out race mode. Okay, let's press the magic button. Race mode engaged. It does say racetrack use only. It's got such a confident front end. I think helped a great deal by the tyres. Pilot Sport 4S's are always great, but it has a real nice composure. It soaks the bumps up, and then the steering rack is really short. So it's quite an aggressive turning. You've got a really kind of pointy front to the car. And on a road like this, where you've got a mix of sweeping bends, the tarmac's not brilliant. It's a little bit greasy. Wow, it's really good. Like, really good. And actually, for me, it's a really good example of a car where, depending on how much horsepower you want, you'd look at it on paper and go, yeah, 270, is that enough? I mean, my Mini's got 270. But there's more to this car than just horsepower. It's how it puts that power down. Here we go. Let's try and take it up my favourite bit of road, shall we? Here we go. This is going to be a good test of this diff. Oh, hello. It digs in brilliantly. And this road is particularly wet and greasy. Oh, that's really good. That's really, really very good. Just there. Oh, just a little bit. The back, just a tiny bit of lift off oversteer there. I wasn't actually going that quick. Wow. Now, what I love about that particular bit of road, before anybody comments, is that was all done under the national speed limit. It's such a lovely bit of twisty bit of road, but it's a great test for me of a car's front end and the ability to put the power down as you come out of the corner. When you get high amounts of horsepower through the front wheels, very often the really telling place is traction out of a corner, and it was very, very impressive there, I have to say. Hugely impressed with that one. Economy wise, Ford quote 32 mpg combined cycle for this car. Now obviously I am nowhere near that in my short time in the car today. In fact, I'm currently averaging 16. But I think early 30s is where you're at with this car under normal driving conditions. Clearly, when you start pushing on, you're going to suck up a little bit more juice. So what are my final impressions then of the new Focus ST? This car is really, really good. Are there any things I'm not that keen on? There are some really annoying rattles in here. There's a little rattle up here by the panoramic roof, and I cannot work out where it's coming from. And that's not good in a brand new car. Some of the choice of materials on the inside could have been a bit more dynamic and a bit more, I don't know, plush. But all the things you touch and feel and sit in are great. Styling wise on the outside, this car's on the money for me. I just think it looks great. But it's when you do this, it's when you stick it into a corner and you open the taps and you exploit that driving character that Focuses have always had. And this is a brilliant example of a car that is powerful and fast, but not so fast that it feels ridiculous, if that makes sense. You can really rev through the gears and push on and enjoy the car, but not be going too fast. Even with something like a Focus RS, I find if you really crack on with a Focus RS, you end up going really, really quickly, very illegally, very, very soon after you depress the throttle. Now, don't get me wrong, you're still going to break the speed limit in this if you're not careful, but I just think on a nice A or B road, you can just have a really, really good time working through the gears, and the gearbox is excellent, the steering feel is excellent. So overall, I'm a big fan of the car. Now, I need to say a huge thank you to Hendy Ford Portsmouth and Hendy Ford Chichester for actually reaching out to me and saying, look, we let you have the Focus when it first came out last year. We've got the new ST demonstrator in. Would you like one to do a film and see how it's like? And it's taken a few weeks to get a gap in my diary, unfortunately, to be able to have the car. But a massive thank you to Hendy Group for their constant support to the channel. But I'd love to know what you think of it. What do you reckon? Is it a winner? I think it might be. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that one. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film, guys, but you take care. Drive safe.